how do I plan for a hike. Hey y'all, Dan here. Thanks for joining me. Mike, he sent me a note asking me how do I plan for a hike. So what better way is there than just to show you how I'm planning for an upcoming hike with my brother as we're going to the Appalachian Trail, doing about a 100-mile section from Pine Grove, Pennsylvania to Delaware Water Gap. Excited about this trip. So a lot of planning to do. So let's get started with the planning and then let's get out on a short trail. Mike from trail staff asked how to pick the right hike and how to plan for it. I'm going to try to talk a little bit about that today, specifically about how to plan for the hike. I use different tools. One tool that I use is the AT guide by David Miller, and it lays out all the different stops, the distances along the trail, whether you're southbound or northbound, and it shows you a profile of the elevation. Another tool that I use, I've talked about before, is my Guthook app that's on my phone. Now Guthook you can use either on an Android phone or on an iPhone. I happen to have an iPhone, and it does several things for you. It lays out where your miles are at. It gives you, it tells you what's lying ahead, where the shelters are at, or the tent sites, or where towns may be for resupply, or hostels, water supply points. So it lays all these things out for you as you're hiking. It also, once you're on the trail and turn on the GPS mode, it will show you where you're at on the trail, which is important to me for several reasons. One is I find myself, I have gotten off the trail and not known it. And the Guthook app helps me get back on the trail where I need to be. The other thing that it does, it tells me which way I'm going. It's easy. You'd be surprised how easy it is to get out on the trail early in the morning. You wake up, you strike camp, you pack up your backpack, you step out on the trail, and you should have turned left, but for some reason you turn right. The Guthook app helps in a lot of different ways. These tools that we have are great planning tools. As you get out and make your plans up, it helps you have a starting point and a general idea. The challenge of plans is this: plans need to be held loosely. It's something I've learned through my lifetime, is that every plan changes. We had an old saying when I was on active duty in the Army that the plan is the first casualty of war. Every plan changes, and we need to adapt to what reality is and not hold on to the plan so tightly that we lose sight of what we're really after. As far as picking the right hike, it really depends on what I want to accomplish. Rick, my brother, and I went out to Wyoming last October. In a couple of weeks, he and I are going up to Pennsylvania to hike about a 100-mile section through Pennsylvania. So I'm going to talk about how we picked this and about how I'm planning for it. One of the things that I have to decide is how long can I be gone. I learned this lesson earlier this year when I attempted to through hike the Appalachian Trail, just to find out how tenuous everything is. It wasn't the physical challenges that forced me to get off the trail, and it wasn't any kind of gear problem. It was really the obligations that I had to my family. So we had some family emergencies, and that forced me to get off the trail from a through hike. And I decided at that time, instead of trying to through hike the AT, I would go into sections and I would section hike it, especially to do long sections. So went back, I hiked from Springer Mountain up through the end of the Smoky Mountains, which is about 241 miles. Now we're going to go to Pennsylvania and hike about 100 miles. Originally we had planned on hiking 140, but again, due to obligations, we have to curtail our plans and shape our plans to fit into what the rest of life requires. As I start to plan, I ask 6 questions. I ask who, what, when, where, why, and how. Who is going? Who's going on the hike? Am I going to do this solo? Am I going with someone? shortly before Rick and I do this section of the Appalachian Trail, I'm going with other friends to do a different hike out in western Kentucky, and I'll talk about that in a later video. There would be 8 of us going up there, and that changes the way that we approach our planning for our hiking. There's more logistics involved. For Rick and I, that also changes a little bit because we are different hikers. Rick is very fast, and he likes to go from point A to point B. I'm slower. I like to see the trail as I go. So together, I slow him down and hopefully help him see the trail that's around us, and he causes me to speed up. And so we both learn from one another, and we're both good for one another that way. What are we going to do? Well, originally we had planned to hike 140 miles in about 14 days. As we started to plan this, suddenly I had an obligation that popped up on the 25th of September, so I needed to come back a little early, and that constrained our time that we could be out. So instead of 140 miles, it would have taken us from Duncannon, Pennsylvania, up through Delaware Water Gap. We've changed now, and we'll be starting at Pine Grove, Pennsylvania, and we'll be hiking through to Delaware Water Gap, 102 miles, as we go up through the AT. So why are we doing this? I'm doing this for 3 reasons. I'm doing this to complete this section of the AT. I really wanted to finish this section of the AT this year. It also gives my brother and I some bonding time. We enjoy going out and hiking together. And then I want to do videos. I want to bring you along on this section of the hike. I want to take some of the questions that you've asked me and not just answer the questions, but have boots on the ground, if you will, and do the application of the answers that I'm sharing with you. Always knowing that I'm not pretending to be an authority on this thing. I'm just sharing with you what I do, how I have adapted, and I hope that might be some benefit to you. So how are we going to do it? Well, we're going to drive from my home here in North Carolina up to Pine Grove on the 9th of September. It's about a 6.5-hour drive. It's around 430 miles. And when we get there, we should have enough time that we could actually get out on the trail and maybe get 2 or 3 hours of hiking in before we stop for the night. This section in Pennsylvania is not too much elevation. There are some ups and downs, but not anything like the Smoky Mountains. It's rocky. And the rocks here on this section are these sharp pointed rocks that are embedded in the ground on the trail. And so that helps me to shape how I plan to do this hike. I'm going to be wearing, as shoes, I'm going to wear my Merrells because they have a stronger sole on them than the Ultras that I typically wear. So the next step is to get out on a trail. Getting on the Piedmont Trail over by Burmill Park. These local trails offer so much for day hiking. We're blessed to have so many in the area where I live, but I bet you have a lot too. So I'd love to hear what trails do you get on just for a day hike, you know, and how far do you go on a day hike? I'm planning to do about 8 miles just to get out and get some fresh air. Hey y'all, thanks for joining me out here. It's good to be back out on a trail even for this short day hike. I love day hikes. You know, they give me an opportunity to get fresh air, I get some exercise, and that's nice, but to be back in nature is sort of like having some an appetizer before I get out to something maybe a little longer. Do have a couple of hikes coming up. One, I'm going to be going with a lot of friends. There's about 8 of us. 1 or 2 I've never met before. The rest I have, most through YouTube, but I've been able to hike with a few, and that's been fun. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I'm going to bring you some videos of that hike, and then I'll tell you more about it later on this week. After I get back from that, I mean, like 2 days, I'm going to be cleaning all of my stuff, packing it all back up, and then my brother Rick and I will be heading north to Pennsylvania, and I am looking forward to hiking with him about 102 miles, I guess it is, if you want to be technical, up through Rocksylvania or Pennsylvania. Hikers call it Rocksylvania because of the rocks that are on the trail. I really don't know what to expect. You know, I've hiked on some rocky paths that the way other hikers describe this is that there's sharp, pointy rocks, you know, all over the trail. They even say that some of the trail maintainers go out and sharpen the rocks at night just for the hikers the next day. Sort of doubt that happens. Really looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun trip. Telling you this because I don't know what that's going to do to my video schedule. I like to post 2 videos a week. If you've noticed over the last several weeks, I've gotten into a rhythm. I post a YouTube Shorts since they came up with those formats, which is a little less than 1 minute video. It's put in portrait mode rather than in horizontal, and so I try to use that as sort of a introduction or teaser, I guess, for the longer video that'll be coming the next day. My guess is my schedule will get interrupted. I apologize. I hope you guys will be patient with me because I want to put together good videos for you. I want to keep trying to improve them to give you a fuller experience of what it is like when we're out on the trail. I wish I could bring you the smells and the touches. I can't do that, but I continue to try to improve the video and the audio quality of these presentations. Enough of me talking, enough of you looking at me. I want to get you out so you can see this beautiful lake. Once again, you know, I'm on the Piedmont Trail. I've been out here several times. It's good to get back out again and just sort of revisit it at a different time of the year. This is the middle of summer. Everything is green. You can hear the bugs serenading me as I walk along, and there's some new bridges out here. So let me show you some of this stuff. Here's a blowdown that fortunately fell away from the trail. But you can see the roots. The roots stay shallow. And then that big, beautiful tree is laid on its side. Well, it's been a beautiful day for a little short outing, and now I'm going to head back to the car and go back home, get ready for the rest of the day. When you need to de-stress, what do you do? For me, getting out here is probably the best thing that I know to do. Just being immersed in nature and hearing all the sounds, getting away from the drama of, I guess, the real world, if that's it, and enjoying creation. I'm going to end this for today. Again, I hope you'll be patient with me as I work on the next videos, because I'll share some, but there may be some gaps as I am out on the trail, and then when I get back, I'll put together the videos from those hikes and share them with you. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, stay on the path. God bless you.